When you're making it, you're quite literally making this stuff exist. And when you're just experiencing it, when you're just, collecting it, when you're just having it, it's a way for you to affect and enhance your experience.
Hey guys, you're listening to Andreas Talks Art.
It's the wild, wild west out here. I'm trying to hunt down all the artists on their creative pursuit. Art is this expression of human imagination that drives the process of introspection and contemplation, that creates a limitless potential of creativity. And in the end, it's not about the art, it's about the mind and the soul that turn their imagination into a reality. So what does it mean to be an artist? And more importantly, what does art mean to you? Yo, what is up? It's Andreas, and we're back with another episode of Andreas Talks Art. Oh yeah. And today, I have a special guest on. Today I sat down and talked with Ben Shores. He's a dad, a husband, a junk wizard in progress, a depictor of the simultaneously profound and absurd from dimensions untold and worlds yet unimagined. And we talked about his art, his different characters he makes, and how he got into all of this. So let's sit down and talk some art.
Do you remember when you first got into art?
When I was a child.
Yeah. Like, what were you doing back then?
I was drawing in like my notebooks more than more than anything else.
Yeah.
Like that's just what I did.
Just doing sketches like kind of now or what?
Yeah. But so yeah, like I've always done it.
Yeah.
But not trying to like build anything out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like a thing that I always did just for me.
Right.
Just like, I'm going to make some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to do this homework right now, so I'm going to, so I spent a lot of time as a kid just drawing in my workbooks and stuff and not completing the actual assignments in them. It became problematic.
Oh yeah. Probably some cool looking notebooks.
I had some awesome looking notebooks.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, they didn't have any answers filled in. And yeah,
maybe different answers.
Right.
Not the answers they wanted.
Answers to questions that were not in the material of the of the class.
So you said you weren't trying to build something out of it. Are you trying to build something out of it now?
Yeah. I mean, just see what I can.
Yeah. See what it turns into. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So how you going about that, or what are you doing to try and build something out of it?
Basically just looking for any places or ways that I can just like put it into those spaces.
Yeah.
Also, it's like I very much like the idea of just when like my kids are my age or their kids are my age, that floating around in enough places, there's like, oh yeah, there's this thing here and in here and in here. Some ubiquitous just thing would be like a thing that I had made.
Yeah.
Just like, yep, okay, enough of these got sent to enough places that like, hey, this is a thing you can look at and be like, yeah, somebody made this.
Right.
And this is a cool thing that people enjoy. And yes. And that's, yeah. That's what I am going for. And if I can make it also into a self-supporting and like actual, side business, as opposed to just like, a hobby that I get some money from, and that it's like I make enough doing it to pay to continue doing it, and it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
In a sense, just trying to leave your mark.
Yeah.
So
like several small fun ones, and I'm not going for like a big super specific marks that I'm trying to make, but
just having fun with it more so. Yeah. So how has your art developed over the years from the sketchbooks, from the sketches you were doing in your books back as a kid to now? Like I can only imagine it's been crazy, right? How long have you been doing art for?
I turned 40 this year.
Okay.
And for like since I was a kid, just like that, I just always remember that was just one of the things I did. My mom could probably attest. My grandma could probably tell you the same thing. And they'd just be like, yeah, here's a thank you card from Christmas or something from the late 1980s from Ben. Shit. And the back of the envelope is just covered with like a full, little scene with like airplanes and and little like monsters and just lots of just that stuff. So in terms of like subject matter, it really hasn't developed. It really hasn't changed. It's still, it's still a lot of just like, big, weird, wrinkly, smiley faces and
lots of like creatures.
Yeah,
you always been making like creatures.
Lots and lots of high speed, big, sharp tooth, flying eyeballs. That's there.
Oh yeah,
still all that.
Is that inspired by something, or is that just your own thing?
No, that's not. I mean, it's definitely a thing that like if people, see it, they're like, I know who did that one.
Yeah.
Then, but no, it's like it's totally, in from the things that I just saw.
Yeah.
As a young kid and that I thought were cool, like the Ed Roth, the Rat Fink and all of that stuff.
Right.
I love that shit, dude. That is so awesome. And, people like, whatever, this is, folks dismiss it and like, this is just goofy crap that people paint on the side of their, toolboxes and stuff. Be like, yeah, but that's cool.
Yeah. Like you were saying before, like there's a very specific audience for your work, or you don't feel it goes out to everyone.
I think I think that there's a lot of people who are into this same kind of stuff, but it's like there's a lot of people who aren't,
right?
And that's the thing, is like there's people who's like they have a specific look of stuff that they like, and it's not, it's if that's what they're after, they're not going to like my stuff sometimes. So you just start these off like sketching in a book. Is this like a vision you have in your head, or where does this come from? Yeah, I'll get a silly, idea, and like it would be like this, and just insert some kind of weird random description, in my lizard brain.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then I'll think about that like image or that idea, and and just think on like what color would that be, and what would this thing's expression really look like?
Right.
It's like, what am I going for? It's like, is this guy screaming forward angry, or is this guy just screaming forward because of their awareness of their velocity? The difference between like something flying at you going like and something flying at you going which and then I make silly facial expressions like that, and try and put together like how that should look on like this UFO or on this scary fanged eyeball guy.
So you're kind of basing it off yourself?
Yes and no, I guess. Because I'm trying to imagine, like, what kind of face would I make if I were doing this thing?
Yeah.
You know.
Totally. So what about the colors? Are you using those to make these like realistic representations or evoke like emotions and energy, like you were saying?
It definitely the latter.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think one could look at my color palettes that I like to use, or anything that I like to present. I don't think anyone would look at that and be like, okay, they were aiming to make this look like a real thing under these conditions.
Yeah.
So if I'm not able to make it look realistic in those colors, I don't think anyone's going to hold that against me.
No, totally not.
Like, so you said, it's cool to be able to make stuff look really realistic and like capture those.
Yeah.
To like capture the way the light is on it and everything. It's really cool to see that done.
Yeah.
And it's not an easy thing to do. So it's like, when you see people who they're really good at that, I mean, it's awesome.
For sure.
But
you say it's cool to be seen done, but to make it, is it not as attracting to you, or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not a thing that I'm particularly really good at. And it's like, there's an approach to it that people who are really good, it's like they've got an approach to it that makes it though it's not the part that like they want to just like, okay, get this done. This is a check on the box. Get this done. There's like, no, this is, as important a piece of what I'm putting together than as everything else.
Yeah.
And that's not the same approach that I'm taking with it. So
what approach are you taking?
So I haven't given it the time and patience to really develop it very well.
Wait, what do you mean by that? You haven't developed well?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm not good at it.
Right.
But if I spent more time specifically with it, with that skill, with that piece of technique, then I would get better. Totally. You get better at the things that you intentionally do,
right,
and the things that you enjoy doing.
Things that you put time and effort into. Yeah. So with your art and all your creatures, is there ever like a message or meaning behind it, or is this just more fun and entertainment almost?
Yeah, both.
Yeah.
Because I think.
Yeah, we got a few pieces up here.
Yeah, we've got a few, but I think I've got a good example that I can show you.
Okay.
And to juxtapose the difference between those two, because it's like,
no, that'd be cool to see.
Yeah, hang on.
Totally. Yeah, because we got these trio right here, but. Yeah, let's see what you got.
Okay. So we've got these guys.
Yeah.
Like, it's a punk rock black cat. That's just a cool thing.
Punk rock black cat. Okay.
Okay, and then there's that guy. That's just it's like, yeah, I like that dude, and he looks great, but he's just a screeching yellow, house cat skull.
Yeah. So these, you'd say they're both just cool.
Yeah, these are just cool things.
Right.
But then there's the crucified Christ with a Marshall stack.
With the Marshall stack on for
his head. But and then I went in and this was hard. I did a pretty good approximation of the font that that Marshall is written across.
Yeah.
And I wrote out Messiah on it.
So what are you thinking with this piece?
Well, I wrote this down when I made this, but it's and I can't remember it now. But
right,
I mean, I could look it up, but it's basically like, you know, world-changing proclamations can be delivered through overdriven Marshall stacks. You know, and so it's like, okay, so I think that conveys that really well. It's like, here we have a crucified, you know, a crucified savior blasting out his message from a Marshall stack. Like that's a cool idea.
Yeah, totally.
But then, you know, and then so it's like, and then we got this guy. You know, it's like it's the Frankensteins monster as a Buddhist monk, though. You know, I mean, that's I think that's a cool looking image.
Yeah, it's super cool.
And he looks cool. But it's like, okay, so what's, you know, Frankenstein's monster is like, it's a tragic, you know, character and a tragic story.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you know, it's like, okay. So you're thinking about that. You're like, I got this idea. Okay. What if Frankenstein's monster, instead of going and like, you know, killing the dude's wife and all of this, you know, if instead of like when he watches the family, when the monster hides for a time in like you know, a woodshed, you know, storage unit of this small house.
Yeah.
And he listens in and watches the days of the family that lives there. You know, and so at night he gets out and he will does chores at their farm. And the dude wakes up the next morning and there's like, this shit is already done. Okay, whatever. But there reaches a point in the story where the monster, like, okay, he comes out and he's like, I'm going to introduce myself to these people. It's like, I need somebody. It's like, I need somebody to not reject me, to not scorn me. I'm going to present myself to these people as their friend. And he tries to do so. And he's talking to the old man who's blind. So he's talking to him and, you know, is basically telling him his story. He's like, you know, and this old man's like, we've been benefiting from some anonymous friend. And the monster's like, that's awesome. It's so important to have friends. And if you had someone who was a good friend to you, you wouldn't reject them, right? You know, it not stated like that, obviously, but that's paraphrasing.
Yeah.
But so, and you know, there's this just this panicking scene where the monster's speaking to the old man and he's like, I got to get this, you know, I have to get this done with you first so that you can talk to them when I'm not here. Because the monster's like, I know what I look like. I'm scary.
I'm scared as shit myself.
Like, yeah, it's like, you must just like, please, I need you to kind of present my case to your family members before. But anyway, and it doesn't work, of course. The old man's son-in-law comes home, finds him in there, freaks out, you know, yells at him, hits him, you know, drives him bodily out of the house, you know, and it's like, what if instead of that happening or right after that happening, before that being the thing that like, he's like, I fuck all of this shit. You know what? No, fuck it. I'm going to fucking take everything away from this guy and fuck everybody up. Just fuck everyone who stands between me and destroying my creator. I mean, that's the conclusion that he comes to. Yeah. That's why he attacks, you know, Frankenstein's family. But instead of after doing that, he, you know, fled to the Himalayas and encountered it, you know, and just like stumbled into and was taken in by, you know, not rejected, was accepted by, you know, a clan of of Tibetan monks.
Yeah. What if?
I think that would have been a better turnout, for everyone involved. But, so it's like, but I was like, all right, So I wrote this thing, to describe this. And I was like, when you didn't ask to be created.
Yeah.
You did not ask to exist. When you're abandoned by your creator, when you are scorned and hated at every turn, and yet you still discover that the light you seek is coming from inside of you and is part of that same light that makes up and occupies the whole of the universe. It's like, okay, like, what if it's like, you've got it bad, you're Frankenstein's monster, but you still discover that you are one and the same as all of existence. And the light that you so dearly need comes from within you. I wrote it better than that. And it was more succinct.
Yeah.
But that's that guy.
That's cool. That's kind of like the journey we're all going on, right? Like, we're all this like mixture of atoms and energy put together, like Frankenstein together, right? Got to find the peace within ourselves almost.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's super cool. So these, you say these words you put with the art pieces that have meaning. Are these these poems, or these like captions, or just...
You could call them that. I mean, you could call them that where it's applicable.
You don't call them that,
like,
though?
Where it's applicable.
Yeah.
It's like, it's always just like my statement of it, or like my caption to it. And
do you only do those for the ones that have this meaning behind them, or do you write it for all your pieces?
When I can, and when I'm like, okay, when I have the bandwidth to do that, then I'll do it for all of them. Like, just the description of the thing. Like, I've got this one painting that I did. It's like a 16 by 20. It's not, it's not a huge one, but it's appreciable.
Okay.
But it's like this dark midnight blue purple, just applied with like a palette knife. It just, so not like, and then like just this day glow green, blast and splat. And then painted over that is the front grille of this like 57 Cadillac, a DeVille. And I was like, I did it. And I was looking at it, I was like, I liked, the flecks and stuff on this day glow green. Is like, this looks like some kind of like explosion in space. And so I was like, all right, this is the intergalactic Cadillac. This is the intergalactic. This is the intergalactic. This is the intergalactic. And so that's what I called it. And it's like,
awesome.
Yeah. And I was just like, blasting through the coldest reaches of space and of dimensions unknown requires a certain level of class and comfort. It was like, because you're doing it in Cadillac. So it's like, that's not like an incredibly deep, thing. That's not like, like social commentary or anything like that. It's just like, but,
it sounds poetic.
Yeah. It's still just like, this is what, like what, if someone were to ask like, okay, why did you paint that? I could just tell them like, because now there is a, and drop that description. It's like, this thing wasn't here. There wasn't this thing. And now there is.
Boom.
Yeah. It's like, they're like, it's a mummy driving a moped. What's the thing with that? It's a mummy driving a moped. Sometimes things just are what they are.
Yeah. There's not always, there doesn't have to be deep meaning behind everything, for sure.
Well, if one like plumbed deep enough, it's like there's probably meaning behind everything. I think your motivations come from somewhere. It's like this thing would be cool to exist.
Totally.
What kind of thing would be cool to exist? Like, how you answer that question, that has something to do with you.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's something interesting I always find, because like a lot of pieces you spend a decent amount of time working on, and even if they are just for fun, with all the time you put into them, like you can't help, like your mind kind of like goes down weird paths.
Yeah.
And you dig up meaning to everything. Yeah. So
it's a good trip.
Yeah, no, totally. Are you always writing these captions after the fact, or do you ever write them beforehand and then?
Yes and no, like both. So I'll be like coming up with the, description while I'm doing it.
Okay. There's
like
nothing set in stone.
Yeah, nothing's set in stone. But like I think it was like this guy.
Yeah.
This guy I did.
What is that guy? That guy's wild.
This guy. Okay, this guy's got partners.
Oh shit.
But
partners in crime.
Oh yeah. Well, sometimes crime is probably involved.
Yeah.
These guys. These are explorers. That's why they have their space helmet.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, so this guy, he totally just it totally is just what it is. It's a figure in a spiked space helmet, riding a skateboard, carrying a case of beer and a baseball bat. But I've got another one. I've got a couple more, but I don't think I didn't bring them along, I don't think. But there's one. It's it's this dude in like his like, vest and, and sneakers, and he's riding this like motor powered giant unicycle that looks like I took the front fender of, like a cool trimmed out motorcycle, or like, I took one of those and I was like, okay, but then just the motor and the seat and the controls are just mounted onto that. And so it's just that front end.
Oh my God.
And a way to drive that. And it's a dude like this, riding, but, and he's got, pretty tall bars, and he's got his other hand back like this. So it's, he's like, his knees are up pretty high, and, he's up like this, but then he's got his other hand dangling back here, and in that hand he's got a grocery bag with like some ears of corn and like a baguette, and he's got like some bread and and other stuff, and he's just the grocery getter.
Yeah,
that's what he's called,
the grocery getter.
Yeah, this is like green rolls. Grocery getter. Well, I mean,
or it just kind of happens,
Yeah, that just kind of happens. Like this guy, this guy is like he's crossing a void to like do something that ought to be done.
Right.
So he's blasting with his space helmet, across this empty field with a bag of groceries, and then there's another one.
Yeah.
That they've got their bicycle, flipped over, and they've got their wrench, and they're finishing a repair on their bicycle. But the plane that they're on, it either is like crumbling in front of them, but mine thinking is more, it's like it's being built under them.
Oh shit.
So it's like, but so it's at the end. It's like, the Shel Silverstein book Where the Sidewalk Ends.
No.
Where you've not seen this?
No.
All right. Shel Silverstein was a poet.
Okay.
And he wrote several volumes of poems, and he wrote you've seen are you familiar with The Giving Tree?
Yeah.
Pardon me.
All good.
Shel Silverstein wrote The Giving Tree.
Okay.
So he has these, so he is a good storyteller, and he has some great, explanations of image, that are his poetry, and they're often accompanied with like some cool illustration.
Right.
But so Shel Silverstein published a book called Where the Sidewalk Ends. And the cover of this book is this, this dog and a couple of children who are kneeling at the edge, like looking over the edge of this cliff, because it's the edge of the sidewalk. But then under it, it's just like there's void, and then it's like as you go back further from where they are. Yeah. So it's like if you look at it from right to left, you can see it goes from just being void to, the foundation, the earth under the sidewalk that these kids are walking on. That's is built up as you go farther from them. It's like kind of the implication that like they're reaching the end and seeing like what's beyond, what's under the edge. And so it's like that kind of so I've got the dude with the bicycle is on something that looks like that. Okay. Because I'm, to kind of try and tell a story of like the path that this guy is traveling on. He's building it. He's building it as he travels it. But you get the impression from like their position and like where they're looking back. It's like they're lean down over the thing, tightening the bolt, but they're looking back like this, kind of like, oh shit. It kind of can look like that. They're like, oh shit, I got time to do this. So it's like you kind of the impression like, yes, you are building the path as you travel it.
That's cool.
But you have to keep traveling. Yeah. Like you have to keep on going. You can't be stopped for too long. Because you're creating this thing, and, things have to be created until they're done being created. But if you create something is to create something is to bring it into being.
To fully create it.
Creates, to begin creating something and then stop. Yeah. Is to not create something.
Right.
But.
That's interesting. Yeah. So one thing I've noticed is a lot of your art has almost a dark feel to it. It's like a lot of black in either the background and like you were saying with like deep purple, a lot of like deep dark colors. Is this a theme or?
I mean,
you got the black shirt.
I own more black clothing than not. Yeah. At least what's in the rotation. Yeah. Like I wear the crap currently out of 2 pairs of jeans that I have. Nice. Because they're really nice. There's like they're awesome and I like them a lot, and they're both black. Yeah. And I've got but it's not like I've got a lot of other clothes. I rotate through like 5 pairs of pants. Okay. So
it's just inspired.
So most of them are black. Yeah. Because it's like, that's what I like. And I do have t-shirts that aren't black. Whoa. Not a lot of them. And of the ones that I routinely, that I are in the most heavy rotation of use, they're either black or a very dark gray. Yeah.
So it's inspired from your style almost, or just your style?
But like the way I present myself is influenced and inspired by the stuff that I see that motivates me and that I like.
What is some of that stuff? So like
I really, really like. I really, really, this is going to be deep.
Oh God.
This is going to be deep.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to like this. I really, really like Judas Priest and stuff like that. Yeah. It's cool. Yeah. And I like it. And and I like the kind of shit they talk about. And I like the way they present, statements. And I like fucking Rob Halford's just fucking wailing. It's good shit.
Hell yeah.
It's awesome. And, I really like that. And I really, really like Testament and, and Slayer and stuff like that. And that's, a similar type of thing, but it's not, it's not the same.
Yeah. So a lot of that, like,
but I'm trying to say I'm a goofy metalhead,
nice,
and so I like black spiky shit.
Yeah,
I like black spiky shit because it's cool, and hey, you never know the world you're living in. Sometimes you need to have some fucking spikes, dude.
Yeah,
they come in handy.
Totally.
You know,
I mean, if you're a space,
or they don't, and if they don't, hey, great, but. Much better be in a position that your spikes come in handy and you have them, or much better not be in a position where you're like, shit, I wish I had spikes and not have them, than to have spikes and just be like, oh, I didn't really need these, but that's okay.
All right. I mean, if you're a space voyager, you're definitely gonna need them.
Depending on your exploration, what you're exploring and building.
True.
Okay. So the idea here is that other worlds aren't possible. Other worlds exist.
Yeah.
And they exist waiting to be built or waiting to be explored by those, waiting to be explored and built by those who will imagine them.
Yeah.
Because so it's like these guys, it's like, yes, they're exploring and building the world
all at the same time.
They're doing these things to build their world.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like how we are as artists, like exploring and creating the world as we go, our own world.
Ideally, yeah. It's like, hey, you can, make the conditions of your existence to an extent, and you can begin by doing that like in your own space, to cultivate or curate, if you will, one's space is one way that one self-determines one's life, like one's experience.
Yeah. That's cool.
So, I mean, it's like, ideally, that's what, if
idealist, is that like what you're trying to do?
Ideally, it's like, if I wanted, a way that it's like, all right, I am going to make this, I'm going to make this change in this space, and that will change shit, that will set it up for me in this particular way that I'm motivated to achieve. If a way for somebody to do that is like they have a Buddhist monk Frankenstein's monster, and it's like that makes me happy. Like, this thing is cool. But then it's like, it also comes with, and you can think about stuff like Frankenstein's monster becoming a Buddhist monk, or, what kind of world is the guy who's crossing the void, carrying groceries? Is that guy building and exploring the same world as the guy who's cruising down the plain on his skateboard with a case of beer and a baseball bat?
Probably not.
I mean, aside from a few just like details, they're the same they're the same figure.
Right.
I mean, they're both this slim, arguably humanoid. They're this slim humanoid, figure dressed the same, in the same like color, palette. Like it's like, that could be the same character, or it could be like, that same character building a different world, or they could be interdependent in the building of the same world. You never know.
Yeah. It's also interesting.
That's the story that you tell yourself if like you have, or you're looking at the three of them together.
Yeah. But they're all masked, so they're unknown. They could. Yeah. Could be. So is that intentional? Having masks, or like how we were kind of talking about before this?
I think space helmets are cool. Yeah,
space helmets are dope, especially with spikes.
But so it's like I got the idea. It's like, I want to make a space helmet. And so I made a space helmet. And in the course of doing that, I thought about like, what are the things that like space helmet, why do people think space helmets look cool?
Yeah.
What is it about them? It's like, it's like, it helps you to breathe in, or maybe it's not a space helmet. Maybe it's like a deep sea diving helmet or something like that, or, like a Grand Prix racing or, motorcycle helmet.
Yeah.
All of those things are things that are used for allowing its wearer to essentially exist under conditions that his wearer was never built to be under.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, what are circumstances where it's like you need to exist in a space that is not built for you? That's what these things do. Cool. So what kind of stories could you tell about just, situations where one would, maybe by circumstance, but maybe by choice, maybe these explorers have decided to exit a world that was created for them to go and create their own. Just like, what? No, this world doesn't fit. I'm going to go build my own.
Yeah.
We're going to go build our own. It might be in the ruins of this one. It might be on another planet. You never know. But if this world stops, stops functioning for us, we'll build our own. That's their attitude. And so it's like, okay, did they come into existence under those conditions where it's just like this, you exist already under task of building and exploring a world? Or is that like the kind of things like, okay, they chose to do this. What kind of conditions would there be that one would be able to one would feel compelled to, or also be able to make a choice like that? And it's like, okay, so obviously you would need helmets that would enable you to exist in spaces not built for you.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like, okay, stylistically, like what would these guys look like? What kind of people would these be? And if you were to ask me, I think, they'd be very similar to like old punk rockers and bikers and, dudes who like to carry groceries on their motor scooters.
Yeah, I mean, someone's got to get the ears of corn.
Yeah, someone's got to. The baguettes are important no matter what kind of world you're living in.
Yeah.
If we're living in a world wherein baguettes don't qualify as something worth care in transporting, that's not a world that we should be striving for.
No. I want to be content with that, honestly.
Yeah, no.
For real.
It's like, it's not like in like the Star Wars movie where it's like the character takes the droid when Rey takes the droid to, or the droid accompanies her to go trade in her scrap, and the dude's like, dude, I'll pay you. And their trade is in portions, rations, as in of food.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'll give you a quarter ration for all of this scrap. But he spots this droid and he's like, dude, I will pay you some stupid amount. He's like, I'll pay you like 60 rations for that droid. And just dumps them on the thing. And it has the effect that of like, stacks of money or gold coins or whatever, just like the thing that this person needs to exist. That's what gets dumped on the thing. And in a quantity that's just like ridiculous.
Yeah, for real. That's cool. So where are you at with your art right now? Do you have any projects going on, or?
What am I working on right now?
Anything? I know you just hung up some stuff in gallery.
Yes. I just hung up 5. I think there's 5 paintings that I just hung up there.
Nice. Have you had stuff hung up before?
Yeah, I currently have a lot of these small prints and stuff. I currently have a lot of these in a display at Spectra Art Space.
Okay.
Yeah, you know where they are, don't you?
I know where they are. Yeah.
Do you
I don't have any. I haven't really.
Have you not had any stuff in with them?
No.
Oh.
But that would be cool to.
I mean, you should definitely check it out because they've got a lot of really great stuff. They're doing their, I don't know if it's more than annually. They do it more often than once a year. I seem to think, but they're doing their it's a showcase of all local artists. It's called their Colorado Vibes. Yeah. Is the name of the show. You know what I'm talking about? Have you been to this?
Yeah. I haven't been to it though.
Oh, you should check it out. They're really good.
Oh yeah.
But they're down on South Broadway.
Nice.
Like, you know where the Brutal Poodle is?
Brutal Poodle, no.
Do you know where Herman's Hideaway is?
What is the Brutal Poodle?
The Brutal Poodle is awesome, dude. It's like a restaurant bar where it's a heavy metal place.
No, it's a great name.
It's a heavy metal place. It's awesome.
Hell yeah.
You should go check it out.
Okay.
They've got like I think I'm saying this right. It's the kind of place where it's like, you know what seitan is?
Yeah, like
it's the food.
Soy.
Yeah. They've got like they had like seitan buffalo wings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know? And they're called like Hail Satan.
Yes.
Okay. So it's that kind of place.
Nice.
You know, where it's like, okay, yeah. Like people who are into a certain type of stuff.
Save the earth and hail Satan.
What's that?
Save the earth and hail Satan.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a mechanic, and at this shop that I previously worked at, we'd get hyped up, and we'd be slamming on a bunch of shit, and be good conditions to be working under, and it'd be like we'd holler shit back and forth, and one of the things we'd holler was like, "Flag hours, hail Satan!" And so because that's what we did. I mean, yeah, we'd have busy days and we'd flag a shit ton of hours in a day.
Oh, yeah.
It was just like, oh my God, like I've been here for 9 hours, or no, yeah, I've been here for like 10 hours, but holy crap, it's like I flagged 18 today. What?
Yeah.
Just like, stuff like that, because it's like, to some people, to a lot of people, that is just like, has the exact correlation to how much they're making. It's like that
hours.
Yeah. Like if you're, I don't know. If you work flat rate?
Yeah.
Okay. So you know how flat rate works.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't have to tell you how much it means to someone who's working flat rate to have, to be able to show that.
Yeah.
Even when I've strategically and luckily for the most part, I don't work flat rate. It's like I get paid. I get paid a base pay.
Yep.
And okay. So I could make more if I was working flat rate, but I could potentially also make less. So it's, I believe, a better strategy to have kept with and stuck in situations where it's like, okay, I know how much I'm going to get, You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. So it's always like consistent. You have to.
But it's still important in doing that kind of work to be positively productive. If for no other reason, it's like it makes for a much, much lower stress environment. It's like if plenty of work is getting done, it's easier for everybody to be in a good mood.
Yeah.
To a point. Sometimes it's like if it gets too crazy and you're running too damn hard, it's like no, this is turning in like no, this is not worth this. It's not worth that level of stress sometimes.
Yeah.
But so to that end, it's like that's part of doing that kind of work anyway. Of doing like production work or doing repair, doing auto mechanics or producing any, service that is important to people.
Right. Yeah.
People could argue back and forth as to whether or not under more ideal conditions for our existence, how important, somebody's car should be. But that's a different discussion. The conditions are that, dude, people use these things. They're important to them. They should be sound. It's like that's a useful service
for sure.
To provide. And so when you're doing stuff like that, it's like you like to be able to see your positive impact to that end.
Yeah. No, that
it's kind of like having a bunch. It's kind of like, and it's the same thing. Like it makes it easy to churn out lots of artwork too. When it's just like, there's a need for this to be like, there is a need for this thing to exist.
Yeah.
And it's like the response that this elicits in people, that makes like that's a valuable service.
Right.
To it's like if you look at a punk rock black cat, and you're just like
brings you joy.
Yeah, and you're just like that's yes, that's a thing, and I'm glad it's a thing. Awesome. That's a positive thing. I think that's a thing that's a worthwhile service to be able to provide to people.
Have you found that with your art?
At times I feel that way.
Yeah.
It's like I look at it like that makes me happy, and that makes it worth just making the thing.
Right.
Having done the thing, it makes seeing like, okay, this thing exists. I like this thing. That's worth the effort of doing it, of like conceiving it and like having it, it's like of having done it.
Yeah. Being able to like bring the creation from your mind into reality.
Yeah. Being able to not only have that for myself, but then also being able to have somebody else have, if not the same, but a similarly valuable, experience in responding to it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's worth producing it in a way to, to transfer it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not just a thing that exists like in my iPad or in my notebook or just in my brain.
Right.
It's like, just some cool thing that's like that. Yes. It's not just some thing like that. It's, it's moved on into it's now operating on a different plane, essentially.
You're going to like manifest it into the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it's now gone from just my inner world to now the outer world to other people's outer world, wherein it can be accepted into their inner world. which will then like, you know, and then can be transferred, so on and so forth. Who knows
what happens after that?
Who knows what happens to that? Yeah. That could inspire someone to create the next really cool thing that brings joy.
Yeah.
And it will, you know, and they will have been moved to do that in any part by, you know, you being able to transfer some idea to them.
The like transfer of inspiration almost.
The transference of energy.
Yeah.
You know, it was that I never studied physics, but I have a layman's familiarity with the concept of conservation of energy, which is basically it's like energy is not created nor is it destroyed.
Yeah.
It is transferred. Okay, so it's like, and yes, it's the burning of the fuel turns the steam turbine, which generates the current, which sends the electrons through the high capacity lines into the lower capacity lines to your residence, and then to light up your fucking bitchin' LED track lighting, dude.
Yeah, it's all voice activated.
But oh shit.
No, hell
it's
yeah.
like that's why it's flashing red.
Yeah, it's pissed.
Because this is like, you know, I did that to a motorcycle.
That's sick.
I did. I think I still have the light strips somewhere, but yeah, I had some like all weather LED. You've seen this stuff on like cars and stuff, right? You know, the underlight. Yeah, I did it on my motorcycle.
Dude, that's amazing.
You know, and I used the red because I was like, yes, I have the black motorcycle.
You gotta have the red,
and it breathes red.
Breathes fire.
Yeah, it's like
fuck yeah.
You know, it's like that's a cool thing. That's a thing that needs to exist.
Dude, hell yeah. Dude, this has been amazing. I got one more question for you.
Sure thing.
But before I ask you it, where can people find your art? Follow you?
Yeah.
Do you sell stuff online or?
Yeah. I have my Instagram.
Yeah.
Where that's b.shores.artwork. I would have to look to be sure. Cool. But I mean, it's B Shores Artwork on Instagram. And and then on my bio there's the link. It's the link to the Store Envy store.
Okay.
Where I have all the t-shirts and stuff.
Right.
That I have, like the one I'm wearing.
Yeah, that one's dope.
Yeah. The nameless spirit from.
That looks like it's got some meaning behind it.
Dude, yeah, this is called Este es Basura. And this is when the nameless spirit from your ancient past, like whispers across the dimensions, like, this doesn't help you. You don't need this. This is trash. But.
Bonjour, ça va?
Hi.
Bonsoir, Andrés, ça va?
I don't speak French. I'm sorry.
This guy's a fool. Oh yeah.
What?
Crazy ass.
I'm sorry.
He speaks full English.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he was speaking French just now, yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Now that'll happen.
Okay. Well, what's up, dude? I'm sorry. I
He just likes to mess with people.
Okay.
Yeah, you're all good.
That's okay. It's a good time.
So, last question. I'm wondering, what does art mean to you?
Art means a method of creating or exploring or even bringing into like precondition the existence and the world that you want to inhabit.
Hell yeah.
It's like if you're making it, it's like when you're making it, you're quite literally making this stuff exist. And when you're just experiencing it, when you're just, collecting it, when you're just having it, when you've got 50 different stickers on your, tackle box. It's a way for you to affect and enhance your experience, and so in such a way to build the world that you want to live in. Even if it's just for you, even if it's just in your living room or whatever, it's like, hey, okay, so, this is totally just woo, but, it's like, it's the idea where people would say something like, a giant tree grows from a tiny seed. That tiny seed contains all the potential for that giant tree under the right conditions. And the reason I think of that analogy is because I'm actually doing this. I have a small little planter, and right now there's like 5 of them, but I'm going to have to thin them out. They're Colorado blue spruces. And right now they're just a little green thing that looks like a blade of grass with a hand. Do you know what a Trafalgarian is?
No.
Have you read Slaughterhouse 5?
No.
Dude, read Slaughterhouse 5.
Okay.
Everybody should read Slaughterhouse 5. That's what art means to me, is like it creates worlds. Slaughterhouse 5 is by Kurt Vonnegut, and the Trafalgarians are aliens who abduct this man and place him into a condition wherein it's described to as unstuck in time. So he simultaneously experiences his past, his present, and his future. He experiences time, all time, as a simultaneously occurring moment. So he's like at once sitting in the restaurant for some conference and locked up as a prisoner of war prior to the bombing of Dresden in World War II. World War II, yes. So, which is a thing that Kurt Vonnegut experienced. Kurt Vonnegut knows about the bombing of Dresden. He was able to write, to write into existence his character's experience during the bombing of Dresden. But so the character is simultaneously sitting in a restaurant, for some conference, and making love to his wife for the first time, and trapped in this room as a POW prior to the bombing of Dresden. So it's just it's weird and wild, and while he's also experiencing these, he's also experiencing the time that he spent as a specimen on the spacecraft of the Trafalgarians. And the reason I keep doing this is because that's what Trafalgarians look like. They're described as a rod with a many-fingered hand at the top with a big eyeball set in the middle of the hand, and their base is like an organic toilet plunger. So that kind of thing, something to move around, but which are telepathic and experience and relate all time as one single solitary moment, a single solitary simultaneous moment. So it's you throw that into the conditions of this guy's life, and the way the story is told is just weird. But it's a pretty kind of deep dive into some stuff when you're reading it, and it's cool, and it's totally worth it. Everybody should read it.
Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Andreas Talks Art. Don't forget to leave me a review. It helps me improve the show. And if you got anything out of this episode, I'd really appreciate it if you shared it with one of your friends. Until next time. Yeah.
Peace out.